Hi, and welcome to this episode of the Retirement Readiness Podcast. Lately, we've been around town, and you've seen us at different locations. Today, we're back here in our office in Orland Park, Illinois. Joining me, as usual, is my co-host, Katie Umland. And today, Katie, we're going to talk a little bit about should I look at contributing to my regular 401k, traditional IRA type things, or should I really be looking at doing maybe a Roth contribution?
So we're back to topics that I don't quite understand, but you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For at least for this episode, the days of me walking on the treadmill at March 30 are coming to a close. So let's talk a little bit about what is a Roth IRA versus a regular IRA. What's a 401k? How does all that work? And then ultimately, not only how should I be saving into those, but then how does that mean I withdraw when I hit retirement age, and how do I build my income from there? Now, in your case, what's your understanding of traditional versus Roth and all that kind of stuff?
Okay, this is a quiz. So I think that traditional I know traditional and Roth are different based on how you're taxed, whether when you put it in versus when you take it out. I think traditional, you're taxed when you take it out.
Correct.
And Roth, you're taxed when you
put it in.
Yep,
absolutely, yeah. So what happens is, like if you think about your regular 401k or a traditional IRA, the reason people put money into those when they're working is because the money that they put in, they don't pay tax on when it goes in. It grows tax deferred, but then whenever they take the money out, they have to pay tax on whatever comes out. With a Roth, to exactly what you're saying, you pay tax on it now, but when the money goes in, it grows tax deferred. It's never taxed again. So sometimes the reason people look and say, I want to put it in and not pay tax now, is because they're thinking that their income is going to be higher when they're working. And then when they hit retirement age, when they take it out, income would be lower, which means they might save some money on taxes.
It's kind of reminding me of when you file like yearly taxes. Like some people like to pay as they go, like have more taken out of their paychecks every month, and then hopefully get a little bit back at tax time. And some people prefer to like not really have much taken out and then
pay.
See where that winds up.
Yeah, so it is kind of something like that, and really what it is people looking to see where will I pay the least amount of tax. Do I think I'm going to pay more in tax now, or do I think I'll pay more in tax when I'm in retirement? The funny thing is, when we've talked on other episodes, everybody thinks, and I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people think that when I'm working, I'm going to be in a higher income bracket. But kind of like we've talked before, when do people spend the most money? It's on the weekends, and when they retire, every day is the weekend, right? Yeah, and so a lot of times the thought that your income comes down in retirement really isn't reality, because you don't retire thinking I want to do nothing. You retire thinking I've got this list of things I want to do, and you end up almost spending more money. And so a lot of times when people sit down to make those decisions, and as we talk with clients, it really is a conversation around partially where do we think tax rates are going, but it's even more than that. It's a conversation around diversification. So if I said to you today, hey, let's take all of your money and put it into one stock, is that a good idea?
Not really risky.
Yeah, for sure, right? You say you should be diversified. And so one thing that we start to talk about is how do you diversify your portfolio from a tax perspective? And what we found is we have a lot of our clients that for years have been saving into their 401ks, and so they have a lot of money that's built up in these tax deferred vehicles. Then they get to retirement age, and what happens? Every dollar they take out, they have to pay income tax on. And so they have no tax diversification. So one way you can diversify from a tax perspective is let's have some money go into a Roth IRA that now when you get to retirement age is tax free. So you have an option for where do I get money?
Sure.
I was thinking about, even with you and Alex, and we've talked about the lake house before on a previous episode. And so when you guys think about retirement and you get to that point and you need a new pontoon, to have all of your money tied up inside of a 401k, you're gonna have to pay tax on it when it comes out. How much do you have to take out to pay the tax to get enough to buy the pontoon? And then what does that do to your tax bracket? And so a lot of times, what we'll do is we'll talk to clients about having some of that Roth money as that large purchase.
Sure.
Kind of
more liquid.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can look at it that way. Is one of the reasons why a lot of times we'll tell clients to have money inside of their Roth. This time of year, I think about it too. As you're in retirement, we were just talking as an office about all of our Christmas shopping, right? And that's, I think, kind of one of the things you enjoy doing.
Yeah. Any kind of shopping. I'm not limited to Christmas.
Yeah. And so when you have kids and you're at Christmas time, a lot of times clients think about making gifts to their children. And so as they do that, sometimes we have clients that say, let's take a big trip at Christmas time, or, those are kind of larger expenditures. And sometimes having flexibility to take money out of a tax-free vehicle versus having to always pay tax on it is helpful. So that's some of the changes, and then or some of the reasons why you would choose to put money into a Roth. And then some of the other things we look at. Have you ever heard of minimum distributions?
Just overhearing in the office.
Yeah. And so what's your understanding with those? And do you have any thoughts on that?
So I think the government makes you take out a certain amount each year because they want to tax you on it.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. So they have a minimum amount that you have to take out so that they can collect tax.
100%
on it.
Yeah, 100%. And so kind of what happens there is when you turn age 72, right now they're talking about moving that to age 75. But when you turn age 72, you have to start taking money out of your 401k, your traditional IRA, that kind of stuff. And so what happens is we can have clients that are fortunate enough that they don't really need all of that minimum distribution money. Their other income sources are enough to support their lifestyle. And now all of a sudden when they hit age 72 and they have to start taking all that money out, that has the potential to move them into a higher tax bracket. They're paying higher costs to get those funds out, but they have no choice. They have to take it out. Versus like a Roth IRA, inside of that Roth, you don't have those minimum distribution requirements. And so that money can just sit there and continue to grow if you don't need it. Now, obviously you can take it out if you want to, but it can continue to grow. Which then ultimately is tax-free to the kids too. So, as we sit down with clients and really start looking at, should you have money into a Roth IRA? Should you have money into your traditional? What we encourage is let's sit down and let's be really intentional about what those percentages look like. How much do you have in a Roth? How much do you have in a traditional? Your current contributions going into your 401k. Should they be in a Roth or should they be going into the tax deferred portion of that 401k? And what we find is it can mean a pretty significant change to the flexibility that they have when clients are retired. So one of the things from our perspective, if you kind of go down, we're getting close to the end of the year, and so you start thinking about checklists for New Year's resolutions or what should I do, or all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that we would encourage is that on that checklist of what am I going to do new in the new year is look at what those contribution rates are inside of the 401k. Do some analysis around, should I be doing some money into a Roth contribution versus the traditional 401k? But also, let's set up a plan for Roth conversions. We talked about that in a previous episode. And it's a great time right now with where tax rates are to even think about, should I be building that Roth in a bigger way by taking money out of that traditional IRA, converting it into a Roth IRA. And right now, the reason we like to think about that at this time of year, first, if there's any last minute things you want to do, now's a great time to hurry up and get those done. Secondly, though, it is kind of that as I turn the calendar and start thinking about what am I going to do differently in 2023, that's a great place to start. And it's a very simple, easy to change thing if you want to make changes. So just something to...
So is that something, like if your employer offers like matching or any kind of help with that, is that something that a client could bring into you, like kind of their 401k package at work, and you could kind of help them like look through that and help them determine where they would?
Yeah, so the way that all works is, so first, yes, our role would be to sit down and say, help you determine how much should go into Roth versus how much should go to traditional. What does that maybe look like long term? How does that help me from a flexibility perspective and all that kind of stuff? So yes, that's part of our role. Now, obviously, we don't know what tax rates are going to be in the future, but we can help give you an educated estimate there. But beyond that, to explain kind of how it works, because it's always the same. So if your employer offers like matching contributions or any sort of contribution into your 401k, regardless of what your choice is, their contributions always go into the tax deferred part of your 401k.
Okay.
There's some conversation now. There's in legislation right now where they're talking about allowing for you to choose that it goes to Roth versus not. But the way the law is right now, any employer contributions go into that tax deferred portion.
Which would be traditional.
Which would be traditional.
Okay.
And so a lot of times when we work with clients, we look and say, well, if you're already getting company match into the traditional, maybe it makes sense to start building.
And go
Exactly.
Okay.
Start doing the Roth contributions. And the big part there too is, especially when you think about how those 401ks are allocated and managed, we've seen an entire shift in the industry to where employers are kind of putting clients into what we would call target date funds or retirement date funds. And what those are is they're vehicles that are kind of, you say I want to retire in the year 2025, and they get more conservative as you get closer and kind of change for you, which is great. It's a great way to kind of set it and forget it. But as clients start wanting to be more intentional with how they're managing those assets, sometimes it makes even more sense to say, let's not only look at is Roth contribution versus traditional the right thing, but it's also, are those assets
actively managed
and all that kind of stuff. So, so our suggestion would be, one of the things to do here, turn of the year, check out not only am I putting the right amount, right percentages into the 401k, am I doing any catch-up contributions, those things, but even beyond that, should I be doing Roth contributions or traditional? So thank you for joining us on this episode where we talked about Roth versus traditional types of retirement accounts. Look forward to next episodes where we'll be talking with our friends at Smith Crossing, and hopefully you have a very blessed Christmas and New Year season if we don't talk to you.
Thanks so much, and if you found any of this valuable, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook, and we'll see you again soon. We hope to help you live your legacy with confidence.